Phasmophobia is a co-op ghost hunting game. It's also playable in VR. It's still in early access phase, so elements of the game are constantly changing. In this guide, we'll go over the basics, objectives, the maps, ghost types, and tools. We'll be doing a more in-depth guide for the ghost types and tools and things later, but this video should get new players started with the knowledge you need to progress.
When you start the game for the first time, it'll take you into a tutorial mode. It's pretty self-explanatory if you want to complete it, and you may find it helpful to do so. However, I like to leave it early by hitting escape. Once you're done there, you'll wind up in the lobby. This is where you'll start anytime you load the game from now on. On the right side are the daily challenges. They reset every 24 hours, and you can see the little timer at the bottom counting down to the next reset. There is no in-game notification when you complete them, but you'll get a little extra money at the end of the mission for doing so. This can be especially helpful when you're starting out, as most of them don't require any special equipment.
To play co-op, you can either join one of the open lobbies shown, or you can either create public, create private, or join private game. If you click create private, it'll take you to your own lobby. If you're playing solo, then you're good. You just hit ready up and go for it. If you're playing co-op, you can copy the invite code at the top and send it to your teammates. They'll click join the private game and pop into the lobby.
Now it's time to select a job. The jobs available to you will pop up on the map. For now, everything will be set to amateur level, but once you reach level 10, you'll unlock intermediate, and at 15, you'll unlock professional.
Now it's time to launch a game. When you load into the truck, you will see a timer with 5 minutes on it. That timer starts when you unlock the front door to the building. For the duration of that timer, the ghost will be mostly passive and cannot hurt you. Use that time to identify the ghost's preferred room. That room is the only place you will be able to gather evidence. Also in the truck will be the key to the building. You will forget to grab this about 10% of the time and have to go all the way back. It's inevitable. Just accept it. The whiteboard opposite will have a list of optional objectives, the ghost's name, and if it responds to everybody or only people who are alone. When you progress to professional, you'll no longer be told if it's an everyone or an alone ghost, and you'll have to figure that out. Next to the whiteboard are 4 black screens. The top left is the map. It'll show you the real-time location of players inside the building. It'll also show you the location of motion and sound sensors when you get them, as well as the cameras in the large maps such as the prison, the high school, and the asylum. It'll also show you, most importantly, the power box. The power box is the little green icon you can see here. It looks like a little tiny battery. Below that is the Sanity Meter. It shows you the current sanity of everyone in the group. And when calculating the sanity for ghost hunts, it does use the group average and not individual players' sanity, so keep that in mind. On the top right is the sound sensor board. It'll become more useful when you get sound sensors, but it is pretty self-explanatory to use. Below that is the total activity meter for the house. It's a combination of all electromagnetic activity in the building combined. Sometimes you may see it go up to activity 5 on the board, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's actually an EMF 5. It's a combination of everything going on in the house at that time. When a ghost is hunting or during periods of extreme activity, you may see it jump to 10. If your flashlight is also flashing, that indicates that it's a hunt, but sometimes it will just go to 10 when the ghost is being especially uppity. The fingerprint board is useless. I don't know why they wasted space. That could be like a picture of a puppy or something.
No, I'm pretty sure that the rings that you see there are how many people the ghost has killed.
Oh, like a tree of murder.
Exactly.
Alright.
And when you start off, you're only going to have the very basic equipment. Most importantly is the journal. The journal is where you enter evidence and select the ghost type. Gathering the 3 identifying pieces of evidence and entering the correct ghost is the main objective of the game. The evidence types are EMF 5, Spirit Box, Fingerprints, Ghost Orbs, Ghost Writing, and Freezing Temperatures. Each type of ghost will produce 3 kinds of evidence you must detect. If you're not in VR mode, you'll have 3 inventory slots. Make sure you grab a flashlight for one of them, or some other type of light. These rooms are dark after all. E picks up an item, and G will drop it. You use F to place items on the ground if they're placeable.
Until you gain access to a thermometer, it's good to take a spirit box and an EMF early in your setup. Without a way to detect temperatures early on, EMF is helpful in identifying the ghost's room. If you have a flashlight in your inventory, you can hold another item, such as the EMF or a book, and then press T to turn on your flashlight. It seems an obvious thing, but it took us a while to discover that, so it seems worth mentioning. Once you get inside the building, it's best to split up and search each room. Listen for them to throw objects, footsteps that aren't yours, and any paranormal activity that might indicate that this is the ghost's preferred room. Remember to turn lights on as you go to keep your sanity high and to tempt the ghost into turning the lights off. This can be useful for collecting fingerprints later. It's important to note that each map has a maximum number of lights that can be on at once. Small maps such as this can have 10 lights on, medium maps are allowed 9, and large maps can only have 8 lights on. Any more than that, including if a ghost turns an extra one on, will cause the breaker to trip. When that happens, you'll have to find the breaker and turn the lights back on, or just press on without power.
When you found the ghost room, it's time to set up. The best first setup is to use the spirit box. For a lone ghost, you want to have everyone except the person using the box leave the room and get away from it. Turn the lights off in the room, your flashlight can stay on. Turn the spirit box on and start asking questions. There's a set list of questions it will respond to. Some of the more easily recognized ones are: where are you? How old are you? Are you near? Are you close? Are you far? If you get a response, mark it off and turn the spirit box off. You won't need it anymore. This is a good time to scan for EMF. As you walk around the room, if you don't get EMF 5 immediately, don't turn it off. Drop it in the middle of the room or somewhere that has been very active and continue looking for other forms of evidence. Some ghosts won't trigger EMF 5 until they've been very active or even hunted. EMF 2 will be a sign that the ghost is interacting with an object. 3 is it throwing an object. 4 is a manifestation event. And 5 is the only thing that actually counts as evidence. Whenever an EMF event occurs, there's a 25% chance of it being EMF 5. If the ghost has that as evidence.
If you brought the video camera in, set it up now somewhere that it can have a good view of the center of the room. Make sure to turn the video camera on before placing it. This will be indicated by a little red light on the back, turning green after you right-click while you're holding it in your hand. Sometimes to get ghost orbs, you'll have to move the camera around once or twice to get a better angle. On your next trip back to the truck, check for orbs. Ghost orbs are coded to spawn towards the center of the room, so keep that in mind. Grab the book and the small flashlight that has a purple light on it and start on the next phase.
Next, you'll want to put the book down in the room by pressing F while looking at the ground with the book in your hand. You want to place it somewhere it's been recently active, and if you hear footsteps or the ghost takes a step nearby, it's a good place to put the book in that spot as quickly as possible. You can actually also drop it, or you can even write while you're still holding it. The next is to use the purple UV flashlight to look for fingerprints. These can be whole hand prints on the windows or doors, or single fingerprints on light switches and cell bars. Every time the ghost touches a door, there's a chance to leave fingerprints, if a ghost type that does that is interacting with that object. So keep checking. At this point, it's about process of elimination. Continue looking for signs, and if your ghost isn't very active, you can increase its activity by using its name in local chat, V keybind by default, or insulting it. This will make the ghost angry and more active. Every time you put an evidence type in the book, the selector at the bottom will show you the remaining type of ghosts that are possible with this evidence. The only type you won't have a tool to find at the beginning stage is freezing temperatures. You will be able to identify it by the visible puffs of breath near the ghost after some time has passed.
Let's talk about sanity. When you start off, you'll have 100% sanity. Ghost events and activities will slowly drain it. When you reach a certain threshold, the ghost can start hunting you. Different ghosts have different thresholds, and some have abilities that drain your sanity faster. Which brings us to hunting. When the ghost goes into hunt mode, its one and only mission is to find you and twist your head off. When the hunt begins, lights will start flashing on and off continuously, including your flashlight. The ghost will manifest and start pathing towards you. The only defense you have when that happens is not to be there. If you hear the ghost growling, that means it has line of sight on somebody. And if you hear heartbeats as well, that somebody is you. The most important thing to do is break line of sight, twice if possible. The ghost will now path to the place that it last saw you. If it doesn't pick you back up, it'll wander off in a random direction. If you duck into a room to hide, try to get around a corner first. The only ghost you cannot outrun is the Revenant. If you know that you're dealing with a Revenant, get to a hiding place as fast as possible. The ghost can also triangulate your position through sound, so try not to talk. Your flashlight will not alert the ghost, so you can leave that on to preserve some sanity. Now that you can find the ghost, let's talk side objectives. In the house, there are a few things you can find and photograph for some extra money. Some of these are the bone, voodoo dolls, and Ouija board. The Ouija board can be used to find troublesome ghosts, but it does cost you sanity to do it.
If you survive a few of these hunts and complete some of the daily challenges, you should be pretty quickly earning enough to buy some equipment. We'll go over all of the equipment in depth in another video, but for now, the priority of equipment we suggest for new players is a temperature gun, strong flashlights, sanity pills, and a parabolic microphone.
That'll do it for today's video. We'll be back soon with an overview of tools, their uses, and when you should get them.
Happy hunting!